Everyone, welcome to FMA Talk Live. I'm your host, Dr. Tim, and this is my wonderful co-host.
Vegeta is here. Welcome, everyone.
I hope everyone's having a good time. There may have been a little confusion tonight. I want to apologize for that ahead of time. I was having a problem yesterday uploading the graphics. Not all of the event announcements with StreamYard that didn't all have the graphics. So I started putting up the cover today. And the problem, if they list it as a Facebook event, and the problem when you edit something in Facebook, sometimes it completely changes the time in the day. And it did that. Eric had posted it at 8 o'clock saying hello from Portland, 8:01. Because at one time it said it was starting at 8 o'clock. So it also said it was starting at 12:30 in the morning. So hopefully, Eric, you're still with us. Or he would have said fed up with us and went to the gym. So today's going to be a controversial topic. It is my rant. I want to talk about two things before the show. One of which is we did the Buffalo Martial Arts Festival, the Buffalo Niagara Martial Arts Festival. We had over 50 people in attendance besides the instructors.
Nice.
It's a one-day event. We haven't done it since COVID. This is the fourth one we've done. We're pulling the trigger next March 8th and 9th will be a 2-day event. All the instructors will be back. Plus, I've got so far Terry Dow, who's Bill Wallace's top guy. So he'll be there. Got a couple other people we're pulling into this, but it'll be a 2-day event, March 8th and 9th. Had a blast. Everyone had nothing but good things to say about this. I had a really good team. And the nice thing is I went around and took pictures of all the back of the uniforms, all the different logos there. We had some didn't have markings on it. We had probably 10 schools in attendance, maybe more.
Nice.
I got to do all the numbers and stuff like that, but we had a blast.
It looked like everybody was having fun, and that's the most important.
And so Wolf Pack says hello. And yes, he is here. Eric is here. And Darren, hey, looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
Eric, we got to talk about maybe a visit up by your way. We'll talk about that. So that was the one thing I want to talk about. I want to sit there and listen. For those who are doing seminars, you got to understand a couple things. Anyone can host it. Anybody can teach it. It really comes to the people who support it. And you got to offer them something that's worthwhile for them to support. So here I got last minute asked to be part of FMA discussion. Is that you?
What?
I hear background noise.
Oh, could be. Let me mute and see.
Yeah, I think it is. Well, that's okay. It's all right. This isn't not a rant. What I'm about to say, it is a clarification. So last night, Dean Franco did a thing on the next generation. Oh, here's Dean right there. Dean says hello. FMA Talk here. Hi. I wonder if he's trying to say he's part of FMA Talk. And
there you go.
Says hello. I got
hey,
a
girl, Jackie.
From Daryl. Okay, so I've made comments, and last night on the pre-show, they made a comment about this, and they got my quote wrong, and we clarified it during the show. But the thing here is my mindset: if people got the message wrong, I blame the messenger, and that's me. So if a student gets a technique wrong, I look at myself to see if maybe I did not describe the technique properly, or maybe I didn't relate it to the way that they think. So I look to myself for the problem, for the fix first, and elsewhere afterwards. So I made the comment about, and then Eric says hello to Dean. Don't encourage him to chime in, Eric. The next thing you know, he's going to be like, "Hey, the other co-host."
There you go.
Uh-oh. Good show with the young men last night. Yep.
Oh,
So, we talked about social media and all this other stuff, and I gave him my 2 cents. But Dean asked me at last minute to be part of it, and it was great because I wanted to chime in and say something. So I made comments about getting the F out of Filipino martial arts. I go, and the mindset is not that we don't embrace our Filipino heritage. we were doing a show and somebody chimed in while we were talking to, I think it was Bobby Tabuada, and I made a comment about, well, Filipino martial arts schools, and like, oh, well, or there's not many schools. Well, of course not. It's Filipino, and the guy was a Filipino martial art practitioner himself. So, and to me, it was like a crutch. Oh, we can't succeed because we're Filipino martial artists. Now, I get it. In their particular style, there's absolutely no open hand combative. So, of course, you can't run a full-time school unless you change what you're teaching somehow. Because really, ultimately, people, I know, I see all the comments. We'll get to that in a minute. Ultimately, if people are looking to train martial arts, they want to be able to protect themselves. They do things like Iaido and Kendo, and fencing as an add-on to what they do. And a lot of times Filipino martial arts end up being taught the same way. Like there is no open hand combatives. And some of those, oh my God, we got a bunch of people here. Some of those people actually do have no other combatives. So when I say get the F out, I don't mean we don't talk about Filipino martial arts, but I don't let that mindset get me down saying that I can't have a successful school. I am a martial arts school that specializes in Filipino martial arts. And when I advertise, I don't advertise Filipino martial arts. I advertise martial arts for all ages. But when they come through the first meeting we talk about, I tell them I do Filipino martial arts because they're like, hey, so what martial art do you do? And actually, if they read the website, it actually says we do modern arnis. So when I say get the F out, it's not get rid of rebranding what we do to non-Filipino, because that was not the case. And people were perceiving that during last night's conversation. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we got to get out of the mindset that we can't have nice things because we're Filipino martial artists.
Right.
Oh, I have a school. Really? How many people you got? 12. No, you have a study group. Let's get serious.
Yeah. Don't use it to lower your expectations.
No.
You know what happens when you lower expectations? Everybody meets them.
Yeah, everyone meets them. Steve Scott told me when he told me a guy that was in the military with the Marines, Sergeant Scott, you know what happens when a woman doesn't meet your standards? No, Corporal, you lower them. That was,
there you go.
I'm like, in life, I don't lower my standards for anything. I have realistic expectations, and sometimes I have to dial it down because I have to think about the steps getting me where I'm going. It's like, this is where I want. I can't start that way. I got to get to here to get to here. Wait a minute. Isn't that like the belting system? So let's get into it. So right off the bat, Eric thinks I'm being funny. Okay. Dean thanked me for a last minute. Thank you very much. Terrell, hey, listen. Hey, Terrell, am I right? Did I just saw Riddell de Guck's foot in a cast? Something to do with his tendons are all jacked up? So please know that. Okay, here we go. I knew this was going to happen. Good to see you, Ty. Hi, Tim. I get that all the time, so I'm just numb to all this. Craig Mason says hello. Dana Abbott, the creator of Action Flex weapons, best padded sticks I use out there. And if you're thinking about doing stick sparring, get the Hit series. If you need to get a hold of Dana, contact me. I will give him his information. Remember, Dana, that's a 30% commission. Just joking. Or am I? Steve says hello. How you doing, Steve? I'm doing well. Ty?
Doing good. Thank you. Yep. Tired.
Tell us where you are.
I am somewhere else today.
There we go.
See, the background is different.
He's out of state. I don't know. Oh, that's your foot? I thought that was, I didn't know it was your foot. I thought it was.
Yeah, he mentioned his Achilles at my event.
Okay.
So hopefully that's healing good, sir.
I feel you. Maganda umaga. Okay.
Very cool.
So listen, when I talk about it, get the F out, it's get the mindset that we can't be successful like the karate and taekwondo schools.
Yep.
That's what I mean. Get that Filipino martial art mindset that we only deserve, that we are the paupers of the martial art world. We can have good things like everybody else.
Right.
Did you want to chime in on that while we're here before I start what we're talking about?
No, that says it all. Really, expect good things from your school, from your people, from your students, just like you do normally. Do the same thing with your program.
And if anyone needs help, I do consulting. FMA professionals, I do more. Plus, I continue to get consulted because I continue to put on that white belt on all the time. And Frank says hello, and he says we. I don't know what we is about. Okay, maybe he's got to go. I don't know. Okay. All right. So I'm going to read something here. I want to talk about tonight's show. So, did the Presas brothers hate each other? We're going to talk about what this is about. But first, this episode of FMA Talk will be exploring these rumors and putting them to rest. We will hear from an expert in the field who knew the Presas brothers personally to gain a deeper understanding of their relationship and the impact they had on the martial arts world. Ultimately, we hope to honor the memory of the Presas brothers and the important contributions that they made to the Filipino martial arts community. Their legacy continues to inspire and influence martial arts around the world, and their collective approach to training and teaching remains the model for future generations. Okay, so
I'm going to chime on that last point real fast, if you don't mind.
By all means, sir.
So I've run across people now that there's the national sport of the Philippines, right? My niece is recognizes that. There are people that will quote that and whatever, but they don't know who actually was responsible for that. So that's a good sign of a legacy, right? If you did your job and did something for an art, and the effect is what's long lasting, that's great. However, you should also recognize where these things came from.
Okay. So Matt Jones is being funny. He saw Bigfoot once. Okay. Let me see. We FMA. Okay, we FMA
that's what he was saying.
Deserve right. As much as other styles do. There we go.
Here we go. More.
Rodent Dangerfield.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, and we know who he is now, but you cannot pay us enough to tell you. My brother sent me an emergency room 3 times. Need as a golf club hockey stick beat me. Okay, all right. If you run across people, I recommend hockey skates and cleats. Okay, or cleats.
If you're running across them, yep.
Yeah, okay. But I'm pumped all day. Okay.
Yep.
So, okay, first of all, let's make the comment. Let's start off why this thing started. And I'm actually surprised. I put it up on another forum, the Presas family, our niece tribute page, and it was left up there. And because this is kind of controversial, and I was surprised that it wasn't taken down, because I've had other things taken down that made no sense to me. But I got a call from Shelley Millspaugh. It actually happened on that discussion group that somebody was making comments, and he commented, and it was against a modern Ernie's person is making certain comments. So the comment was that Remy hated Ernesto. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm going to start with something. Even if that was true, and listen the way I'm saying that, even if that was true, what good does it serve us now to talk about this? There are people in the world that I would pour gasoline on if they were on fire. I wouldn't wee on them. I'd pour gasoline. I'd throw it on them. But the thing here is, these people, I would never speak ill of the dead because someone in their life loved them. Remy Presas. I know a lot of people said, oh, Remy was my best friend. That's right. He was your best friend. You might not have been his best friend. But who am I? Who am I to change someone's memory of someone they cherished and respected? That's not my job. And there we go. It serves no purpose.
Yep.
Now, we are going to address the comments that were made. We are going to address that, how it could have been, how it came out. Some men aren't looking for anything logical like money. They can't be bought, bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. Some men just want to want the world to burn. Okay.
Too many times. That's right. Seems like, anyway.
And I think some people in our industry, in our specific one, it's more of a scorched earth policy where they just want to, if they can't win, they want to make sure that no one else does. So, okay. Did it make any difference if they did? What do you think about that?
I don't know which that's a response to.
Okay, so
Yeah. I don't know.
jealousy. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Rodent, and I'm making a point of using your name properly. Today is probably not going to be a good topic for smart ass comments. I'm going to tell you that right now, because I'm a little wound up on this topic. So, but if they had, no, it wouldn't. What difference would it make? No.
Yeah.
And what did you just say to me before the show started about hate versus grudges?
Yeah. So Remy, as we know, is a very passionate guy. And I'll say two things. One is the answer to your question, which is very passionate guy. He could hold a grudge when he wanted to, but he could also repair it pretty easily too. So I think there's a difference between holding a grudge or being upset about a particular action and hating a person.
Remy was a very visceral person. Now, the comment was made specifically towards Remy, but the brothers were brothers. And I know Remy had issue with both brothers, and I think Roberto kind of got pulled into things. I don't think he was a thing, and family shit is issues. Yeah. Mind your own business.
He's quoting Joey Swole.
Okay. So this is exactly my point. So
absolutely,
I'm going to go back to Remy's will has been posted a bunch of times, the martial arts portion of the will. But then Anderson in his book put the will in its entirety, talking about who got what, how much they're supposed to get, and all this other stuff. Now, there you go. Good point. PG tie. The comment was like, well, Demetrius said there was no will. And who are you to be the one to prove him otherwise? And at the end of the day, that will is nobody's business except for those who are in it. Now, if you want to share the martial arts, personally, I think the martial art portion of that is fair game. The Masters of Tappy Tappy didn't exist. Remy put a will, and when it came time, the people who took charge versus were put in charge decided never to execute that will. Okay. So to me, having that portion of the will, it's important to be out there. Because it says that the Masters of Tappy Tappy were not the chosen ones to do this. Remy had was it a golf or baseball sized tumor in his head? You're on mute.
I thought it was baseball, but it might have been golf.
So he had a tumor in his head. Yeah. Okay, and now this is relevant to the story. I was with him when he got diagnosed. He offered to promote me. I was the highest ranked American. We didn't know about the Filipinos being ranked whatsoever. But there was 2 active 6-degree black belts. That was Dieter and myself. He wanted to promote me. I told him not to. We'll get you home and all this other stuff. And then a whole bunch of people came over afterwards and got promoted when I called the Americans up and said, don't go, get them out of there because someone's going to go and take rank. So what happened? A bunch of Americans went over there and they all got promoted. Now, I'm not saying that he didn't plan on doing it. And I'm not even saying that the Masters of Tappy Tappy weren't going to happen. I just don't think they were what they came to be. And I've been very vocal about this. I feel that the Masters of Tappy Tappy were a consolation prize for me getting Datu. But that's just me. A lot of these guys were only thirds and fourths, and now they're the heads of the system, having been black belts for less than 8 years, and now allegedly they are the grandmasters, the equivalent of that of the system. Okay. Doesn't sound like a rational thing for someone to do. Okay, so Professor makes emotionally based decisions. I was with him with the doctor. The doctor said, you're going to die. We already knew, like Gabriel Roloff was in Tunisia with him days before this, the previous week. Hello, Jason. And his equilibrium was off. He put on a pullover I gave him. He was upside out, inside out, and backwards. But they thought he was joking. Really? Really? So with all those things, I would not have put him in a position to make any kind of rational decisions because there was too many things going on. Who knows how the tumor was affecting him? And like I said, I was around Professor. I saw the good, the bad, and the ugly of Remy Presas. But when people talk about Professor and they don't think that I didn't see this stuff. Tim, you don't know. Tim, you don't know. No, I do know, and it's no one's business. It's no one's freaking business. Okay. And if I was a different person, I may have been complicit with him with some of the things he wanted done. Okay? But that's not me. And that's probably why he and I were good for each other, because I consider myself a company man. A company man, in my opinion, is not a yes man. It's a man that'll tell the boss the way it is. But ultimately, if the boss says jump, then you got to jump. And if he asked me to do something I don't like, then eventually I would have left. If I had a problem with it. Oh, let me see here. Let's do it this one here. Can you read this? I'm having a problem with
Sure. Rodent continues, break bread, not bones. Life's short. At least you're doing your part to honor not just your teacher, but promoting the family. Yeah, keep a perspective.
Okay.
And more. When my instructor died 8 years ago, now everyone will know who you are. 8 years ago, everyone wanted to be the successor. 3 years later, school closed. We need to give back to honor our teacher who gave to us. Yeah, when everybody scrambles, everybody loses.
And Renee, here you go.
There we go, Renee. Some of the old masters tend to also go on a promotional spree, especially if they needed cash. It may not be in your system, but I've seen it firsthand in my old system, and other people will abuse that need too.
And listen, in this particular case, I know Remy wasn't charging anybody for these promotions.
Right.
Matter of fact, I didn't pay for any of my black belt tests, any of my promotions. But then again, I also brought people with me.
Well, and people often forget, right? The old tests were that wasn't a money making venture. It wasn't. It was $30 or so.
Yeah, it was $35 a camp, and eventually they bumped it up to be even when they bumped it up to be in line with everybody else. I think I paid for 2 camps, maybe 3 in my life. I hardly paid for any seminars, but there was a bunch of reasons for that, including the fact that I would go and show up with a cadre of people. I bring 10 people to camp. Guess who's not paying? I bring 10 people to a seminar. Once again, guess who's not paying? I mean, if anything, you should give me a rebate for that stuff or put me in a hotel room or something.
Well, and that's something you do when you bring guests. Not those same numbers, but I mean, you get that feel, which is, I think, good.
And that's what we did this weekend with our event. Why is this so successful? There was a rebate program. That's how people got paid, but it is what it is. So Ty, you weren't the expert. I was talking about myself in the write-up.
Right. I only met 2 of the brothers.
But you met 2 of the brothers. Did you ever hear Remy say shit about Ernesto or Roberto?
Never heard him say negative things about him or positive things. He was pretty close to the vest, but I will say he always found a way to, almost every other time I saw him, he always found a way to emphasize how important family was. Not only his, the family that we are, right? The Marshall family, but also just family, your blood family. He always found a way to mention that often.
Now, I know there was personal problems with the family. Hey, Zach, how you doing? Look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. There was a lot of misunderstandings, and after talking to Maria, the youngest of the Pinoys, she was telling me how stepdad was telling the kids that Remy wanted nothing to do with him, and that was not the case.
Right.
So of course, when they were around each other, there was a little tension, and they at the time they could have treated their father a little better. But then again, I don't know how often Remy reached out to them. I don't know if he tried and they were intercepted. Who knows? I don't, it's not, the Philippines is a whole nother animal. I mean, when we go, everyone has access to a cell phone. What do they have back then?
Right.
I mean, I remember before smartphones, everyone I would talk with over there was going to the internet cafe. People didn't have their own computers. They didn't have smartphones, so how would they communicate? Now everyone just gets to a free hotspot and boop, 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 they type them out.
Well, the other thing about his importance of family, I do remember it was either a nephew or not the normal stereotypical nephew cousin, but I asked him about that. It was a legitimate blood nephew or cousin that showed up at one of his camps, and he made a point of introducing us and also having me work with him to help him out. One, I was honored, but two, that shows me again that family is important.
Yeah, they may have had the Gilligan's Isle telephone. I don't know. That one's okay. I'll let that one slide by.
There you go.
Okay, Rodent. Family has issues.
Yep.
Here's what do I teach my kids? I go, you got brothers and sisters? Yeah, so did I. I had sisters. I go, you fight like cats and dogs? Yeah, so did I. I go, but the thing was, okay, now my sister and I don't know where my one sister is. She's disappeared off the face. I have a full sister and a half sister. My full sister and I, we don't get along. Okay, but when we grew up, no one touched her and no one touched me, because whoever got touched, the other person was all over. It was as simple as that. No, sure. Now we fought like cats and dogs. My sister's my size too, for the record. Now my half sister, she got to see some bad things before, and she moved in with my grandparents and I for a while, and she saw things that no one should see. I'm not going to get into it, and I'm pretty sure she didn't get therapy that she needed. I would think actually, my sisters and I definitely needed therapy for the trauma we went through when we lost our father. I had a lot of mental abuse from my stepfather, who would talk trash about my dead father. Doesn't really help the situation. My dad was not a good husband, but in my opinion, he was a great father. He never talked trash about my mom or my stepfather. Now, maybe he did one behind my back, and that's fine, but never in front of the kids. So, but my family had a bunch of issues. We were like a Jerry Springer thing before Jerry Springer, and, but the thing here is no one messed with the family. The family's always the family.
Yeah. Well, let's turn it around too. I mean, so the question was, do the Presas brothers hate each other? We were talking about how Remy felt. I think firsthand, and I know firsthand also what Roberto felt from their own mouths. So can you talk about, how happy Ernesto was getting to be able to talk to Remy, for example?
Okay, since we're on the topic of his kids, what about Junior? I don't know if you guys touched base with him or not. Well, that was with the stepfather, and you can watch the earlier portion of the show. There was an estranged situation, and a lot of it had to do with a stepdad telling the kids other stuff. Right. And it would be hard. Listen, you know what? I defy anyone in Remy's positions to have a decent, grounded family.
Wow.
I mean, okay, so when we all talk about this, Remy lived out of a suitcase for 6 to 8 months of the year. You think that sounds about right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Janice and I were talking about having him move in for a month or two at a time, just so he could go away and go away on the weekends and then have the same bed for a week. So, and can you imagine? I mean, think of it like a rock star on the road. I mean, how many of those rock stars stay married?
Right. It's tough.
And who knows how their kids may resent them because parents play games with their kids when they're fighting, or how come everyone else's dad's here and mine isn't? Well, he's on tour for 18 months. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Most people seems that our teacher becomes a father figure and wanted him versus had. What do you want? My teachers were nicer and more supportive than my dad were to me. Yeah. So let me tell you about the Ernesto story.
Okay, good. I was going to poke back at that, but you remembered, so good.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, wow.
There we go. Hello from the Philippines.
Magandang umaga.
Maganda umaga. So I'm gonna say it was like 99-ish. Could be a year or two before. I get a phone call from one of my guys, one of my distance learning guys, and he goes to me, Tim. Ernesto's sick in the hospital. He went in for a checkup, and now he's in a coma, and they think he's going to die. Well, who's telling you this? The Comaton people. Okay. And at this time, I had not met Ernesto yet. So I'm like, so why are you telling me? I'm just out of curiosity. Because they think you're going to do something about it. Yeah, you're right. So I get on the phone. I get Remy's number. He's in the Philippines at the moment. I call him up and I go, hey, I hear we have a problem, you and I. Because he and I, things would happen and we would argue just a little bit, or someone had a problem and I brought that person to Remy, so I'm the troublemaker versus trying to clear the air. So on a couple occasions, and we know the Filipino culture doesn't like dealing with this kind of emotional confrontation. But we're talking about a person who was thinking about leaving because of certain problems. And if it was just talked about, we'd be good. So we had one of those. So I used that as an excuse to call him. I go, hey, I heard you and I got a problem. No, we don't. Are you sure? Yeah, no, we're good. Okay. Hey, listen, while you're there, while we're talking, your brother Ernesto's in the hospital. Really? And he he had a grudge. We talked about that. That's what you said. You know what? Janice will say, I always love you, but I don't always like you.
Right.
Okay. And sometimes what happens is we get so frustrated by the person because we want to love them. And they're doing shit that makes it very hard to like them at the moment. So he and I talked for about an hour. No clue what the call cost me. And we went back and forth on a whole bunch of things. And he told me, I mean, I knew what some of the issues were. And I think Ernesto was a victim of some things that happened that were beyond his control, like the general that took over the organization when Remy went on tour. Guys got military. Ernesto has a hunk of rattan, you know. There's some other things that to me was a little sketchy. But I think we talk about when we're dealing with the Filipinos, it's their moral compass is calibrated differently than ours, you know. And I'm not saying that they're bad. It's just certain things are accepted behavior over there that may not be accepted here. But I mean, that's like anything, you know. I talked to some people who are telling me about how Americans are rude, but then walk around in when I was in Denmark, I mean, hopping on a plane, people were pushing right past me. I was the first person in line, and I missed the bus to get me off the plane. I'm like, how the hell did that happen? You know, because I was using manners and letting people go first and not pushing. Oh, wait a minute, it's a different orientation. Big city, you got to push in. You got to just walk in and do stuff. And I'm like, okay, all right. And I held doors for people in Germany. And they looked at me funny. I'm like, really? No, you don't know. No, you don't do that. So, so I got Remy to call up Ernesto, you know, and it was funny. At the end of the conversation, he goes, now, Tim, though, you and I we're good. We're good. I'm like, okay, all right. You know, so about a year later, Ernesto's up in Maine, I think it was. So I drove up there. That's a long ass drive, by the way, but you can't fly there. Wherever you go, you got a plane 2 hours early, take a 3-hour flight, then argue with getting a rental car, then repeat the trip back and all this other stuff, blah, blah, blah. So I figured, all right, I'll just drive up there. So I drove up there, and the host brings me in and goes, Grandmaster Nessel, this is Tim Hartman. He's here to see you. Tim Hartman. My God, you got my brother to talk to me. Oh, you're like my brother. And he thought I was, I'm like, no, no.
Mhm.
You're my uncle. You're not my brother. I'm glad he felt that way about me. I really did.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
Years later, it came out about how the brothers talked and got together. And people were trying to give all these other people. Now, there's a bunch of people that tried to get the brothers to talk. Rocky was one of them. Hockheim was another, I assume some other people have tried in the past. It wasn't the right time. I'm not saying that they couldn't get the job done, but Remy wasn't ready. That's what I'm saying. Hold on one second here.
Sure.
Okay, so my co-host and I have had words. So, my other co-host, the four-legged one. So, when someone tried to give credit to others, actually it was Hawk wasn't claiming it, but it came up on FMA Talk. And then a whole bunch of Combaton people came out of the woodwork saying no, because in 2007, when Tim went to the camp in the Philippines, it was a tribute to Tim Hartman practically. Ernesto kept talking about me left and right, caused a little problems because I think, when I went, and that was when I got promoted to 9th in GM. He paid for me to go. The only thing I had to pay to get to the Philippines, he took care of everything else. Then someone tried to accuse, you spit in Ernesto's face because you bought rank. No, you're spitting in his face because you're accusing him of selling. So how much did you pay? Because you obviously must have had carnal knowledge. But I mean, we went to Remy's grave. We did the whole 9 yards, All right. I got to take care of this guy real quick.
Right.
Let me see here. I'll let you read a comment while I put this on here.
Sure. Let's see.
Can you read the comments without seeing them on the screen?
I can see them. I just can't put them up on the screen. Let's see, where were we at the comments? Let's see. So Harold said, good day. Matt Jones says, could it be possible that if when Grandmasters of FMA Modern East system of martial arts poured so much of themselves into their most active student, would that cause them to be the next Remy Presas? Maybe, but you'd want to designate it, right? Because everyone's going to come and play, and they got poured into the most. Matt then continues from the other question. I'm hoping you're not too upset. No, it's fine, Matt. Pretty sure. Anyway, Rich already said hi. Maria Aquino, thank you for dropping by. Our Canadian French. She's good afternoon, good evening, Ty, Tim, and greetings to everyone. And then Ty looks like he should be wearing a tie. I was wearing a tie earlier today, so I'm elsewhere doing work, and I just took off the tie right now and rolled up the sleeves because we're getting out of business. It's much easier than that. Plus, I don't have a whole lot of clothes with me. So there you go. I can't continue the Ernesto story, but what I'll do is I can talk about when visited Roberto in his home in Higaran when we went there. And he had nothing but good to say about both brothers and his love for them and his welcome that if we were his brother people coming to visit him meant a lot to him. So again, family important. Love is there regardless of any grudges, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so I covered everything except for the last one. No, I'm not gonna Incredible Hulk this shirt. It's a big person shirt.
Yeah. Allegedly, a leak came out that Deadpool 3 is going to have the Hulk and Wolverine in it. They might take a shot at going for it. But anyways, so maybe Ty's in the movie. You never know.
Not photogenic enough.
He went all the way upstairs and now he's back. It's killing me here. So the thing here is, okay, when I saw Ernesto, he admitted to some wrongdoings, but didn't understand why Remy was upset about things. So he understood what the problem was, but didn't understand what the problem was.
Well, it was an opportunity. He took it. It was bad. Okay, next. Right.
Okay.
I can almost see that for some cultural things.
Yeah. And, so, but and how this started was allegedly Remy. Okay. So Remy was in Philadelphia in between the time he was treated and in between the time he died. He flew down there for the camp because, as I was told, which is secondhand information, he was tempted with a lot of money, and Remy was running out of money because obviously hospice was costing a lot of scratch. He had no income, and someone embezzled money. Go figure. I know I sent money to Remy. We did a seminar, sent him a couple $1,000s, and we don't even have to know if the money got there.
Right.
So with all that, Remy flew down to Philadelphia for the camp, got pneumonia on the way down, was in bed for a week, and allegedly said the comment about, I don't know why I let my brother get a foothold in the country. Now, this is the comment that Shelley was getting upset about, it was part of the back and forth. Okay. And I wish Shelley would have been able to make. I sent him a message,
right?
Because there were some other comments he made, and I don't feel the comments that were in the thing was talking about how all the modern Ernie's people are trying to rip off the combatant. And here's what I'm going to say about that. This I know about, and part of it I know about, and I can make a comment. There's a lot of people that claim to do Remy's art. And when you watch them, they're doing Ernesto's art. They're not doing Remy's art. They're doing the stick and dagger. They're doing all the double biston, and they're calling it modern Ernest. Yes, Remy, all three brothers used modern Ernest at one time, but the arts changed enough where each brother merited to call their expression something different, which is why Ernesto has Henigran, their hometown, Ernest de Mano. Ernesto has Combaton, and Remy has modern Ernest. If it was all the same, then we wouldn't have this distinction and we wouldn't have this conversation. But a lot of modern Ernest, there's a lot of people who are claiming to teach Remy's art, but is actually doing Ernesto's art. And here's the problem I have with that. So I know this is something that Shelley made the comment, and you know what? I've been saying it long before Shelley brought this up to me. One, if you're calling your expression modern Arnis and you're doing Ernesto's material, that's telling me, to me, that's you're selling Remy's art when you shouldn't be teaching it because you don't know the material. Furthermore, it doesn't give proper credit to the original creator / source material. That's why I go under the, okay, so when I say Presas Brothers, it's about the brothers. It's not about any one particular art, but I can train you and certify you in the art separately. And Ty's been around me it's been over a decade now, right?
I mean, if you count the
reconnect.
Well, just the reconnect, I think it's 8 years. I can't remember.
Okay. I mean, we knew each other back in 99.
I blocked it out of my mind.
I know all that scarring.
That's right.
But I'm consistent with what I teach. Presas Brothers is a blend. And if you want to do combatant, I'll do the combatant program. If you want to do modern, I'll do the modern program. You want to do the Balintwalk, I'll do the Balintwalk program. And I've got all these modular programs that teach specific things to take away from all this stuff. So we understand. And if I'm teaching, when I teach a seminar, I don't discriminate. I do whatever material makes sense at the time. But if we're doing a modern theme and I all of a sudden break out into Balintwalk or combatant or whatever the case is, I make a point saying that this is not part of that. I don't name drop. I don't sit there and every technique I got to give up. I do. This is my expression. Well, this doesn't feel the same. Right. Because it comes from something else. Did Professor call it that? No, actually, the explanation I got hanging out with either Dr. G or Huck Polanis or whatever. But it is the material. It is the concept. But they said it better. So I use their explanation because it makes more sense. or they have better, because we're Americans speaking English. I'll use people whose native tongue is English. They sometimes have a more a nomenclature that resonates with us more. I mean, after you started doing your Tagalog program, you were the one that pointed out that Remy's verbiage was Tagalog translated verbatim, which actually broke English sentence structures.
Somewhat, yeah.
When you would say, like, Remy would tell people, "Oh, this is more better," but
Right.
you would say, if you say this is better, this is how it translates to more better, right?
Right. That or already. It's a common word that you insert everywhere.
Yeah.
You're already there.
You're already there. Yeah. Versus you're there. So with all that stuff, and a tumor growing back in his head because it came back with pneumonia. We don't know how much the toll the trip, because he took a ferry from Victoria to Seattle, flew Seattle, I think, to Detroit to Philadelphia. There may have been another flight.
Wow.
I think Chuck's wife met him in Detroit to get him from one plane to another, because this was pre-September 11th.
Right.
So we could get people in the airports, where now you have to have a ticket, or you're escorting a minor, and you still have to stay there. By the way, you have to stay there until the plane takes off. A lot of people want to drop the kid off and leave. Doesn't work that way. Well, it's got a 6-hour delay. That's not their problem. The airport is not babysitters. They're just transporters. So with all those medical conditions, the psychological stuff that goes with it, Remy being on an emotional roller coaster, I'm not saying that Remy didn't say that. What I'm saying, first of all, well, the person who's made these comments, I don't trust him. I don't trust a word out of his mouth. Why? Because I think the person would say anything to benefit himself. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. It's my opinion. I can't prove it in the court of law, so that's not what I'm saying. The other thing is, I don't trust the person one bit, because I don't expect them to understand the context of things that are said. I'll give you English versus English. Post Remy, we would talk about advertising myself as a promotional relations, advertising me as a seminar instructor. Professor made a point of saying that I was the highest tested black belt. I would say that because that way I could get away from saying that I was the best student. Now, I'll be very open. In my opinion, I was Remy's top student, and I defy someone to prove me otherwise. If there was someone I thought was better, I would have been training with them, whether it be as peers or student-teacher relationship. We know everyone felt that way about themselves. They all thought they're number one. Okay. But I'll give you facts. Was teaching 20 seminars a year, only dedicated modernity school, a successful modernity school, produced the most amount of black belts for a professor, Remy Presas certified. I can keep going with shit like this. But I was doing the art as the art because I was thinking about this. I was doing seminars as a brown belt in modernese. We'll say, well, people do that all the time. Yeah, because they're black belt in other systems. This was the only rank I had at the time. So this is the kind of stuff that we would say, I'd make the comment about highest tested black belt, and someone perceived it as me, another English speaking person, another 6th degree black belt who wasn't active, trying to say, hey, are you trying to say that I'm less of a black belt because I didn't test? Like, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me. I'm advertising myself. People sit there, are you the top guy? To avoid that, I go, I was the highest tested guy. Or the other option would be, are you the top guy? I'm the most visible guy. A lot of times I'd say I was the most visible guy for modern Arnis. Okay. Now you got Kelly Warden. Modern Arnis is part of what he does, but he's so visible as a knife maker, as an editor, or as a writer. He made The Silent Fighter. Kelly's got so many different things that he's known for. And yes, the title is a modern Arnis title, Datu, specifically from Remy Presas, but he is so much more than that title. or modern Arnisa is a small portion of who he is because he's done all these other things. So, but when it comes for doing Remy's art, I was the most visible person. Okay. What are you trying to say? I'm trying to give you guys an out. But this is how people, so when I see these comments saying that Remy said this and Remy said that, in what context? What was his mental state? I remember Randy Shea and I got into it, and he goes, "Oh, I testify in a court of law that that Remy's tumor didn't affect his decision-making process." Really? Really? I mean, okay, first of all, there's a baseball or golf ball sized tumor in someone's head that's affecting his equilibrium. Don't tell me that's not that's part of his brain. The other part is Remy lived an emotional roller coaster, which is why you had to ask the same question multiple times, because you didn't know what Remy you'd get. Have you seen Remy mad?
Right. What?
Have you seen Remy mad?
Not spitting mad, but I've seen him upset. Yeah.
Do you think some of the things he came out of his mouth may have been a little less than rational at that time?
Oh yeah, he would just he would go, and then it's like me. I actually have a temper. I know you nobody knows this, but
oh no, I saw it. No. I saw it when someone got thrown down the other day. I looked at your face, and I was about to walk over and go, "Oosa, oosa."
But no, but the thing is, it comes out, and then it's done, right?
Yeah.
I think he was that kind of guy.
And Remy's has pneumonia and is dying. And who knows what medication they were putting him on at the time, and what affected and how that all affected his mental state. Not to mention, he was dying. That alone should have been affecting his mental state. Mr. Guida, good job, Rob. He actually taught this weekend.
Oh, awesome! Very good.
Okay. Sounds like you have a case of hate me because they ain't me. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Here, you can read the next one.
There you go. Sure. Yeah, Rocky. So this is from Rocky, who's very vocal and about what he believes. You are right. At the time, you were the most active, visible, and his go-to guy at the time. There you go.
At the time, which means there was other guy. Okay. So here's the funny thing. What does the word protege mean?
The person you're currently, or one of the people, it could have multiple. One of the people you're pouring stuff into.
Does that mean successor?
Not necessarily. Could be.
Could that be someone who you're just temporarily taking under your wing and showing them the ropes?
Could be also.
So I was one of a couple proteges. Maybe he didn't use the word protege before, but Rocky would have been one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly Warden would have been one of those guys. Sifu Lowry would have been one of those guys. But Remy didn't have the English language. It was a third or fourth language. So finally, whenever he heard the word protege, the protege, this is very good.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Here we go. Here's another one from Rocky.
He did learn from, he got words, he would use them once he learned them.
Yeah.
But he didn't know off the bat. But so Rocky personally believes that that the tumor, I think, bothered him as far back as the late 80s, early 90s. Anyone that spent time with him knew he always complained about headaches.
I don't know.
I think that particular type is actually pretty fast, but you never know. Yeah. He might have been fighting it for a long time because your body's weird about cancer.
21 years later, you're still promoting the art and passion. Yeah. Well, I'm not the only one. And that's the other thing too, is I'm not the only one promoting the art.
Right.
This guy's promoting the art. My team, I've got a really top-notch team that helps me promote the art. And even people that, this annoys the hell out of me. If people would just stay in their own lane, we're all promoting the art, or we all should be promoting the art. And some people are just promoting themselves at the expense of others. But what do I know? So like I said, when those things were, the screenshots were sent to me and stuff for some of the comments. I think that the brothers had a love-hate relationship. I think they loved each other, but they didn't always like each other. Okay. And I think also Remy, his position is a little different than his brothers because he moved to the Western world. And he started learning a different culture.
Mhm.
Now, he would say it was weird. Something must have happened. At one of the camps, he goes, listen, just for the record, if I said or did something that offends you, I'm from another culture. I don't mean anything. It's just my way. So I think that's the problem with the world. Here's the problem with Remy's students back in the day. Or actually, they're still today's students. Okay. We're Americans learning from a Filipino who moved to the States. We're putting our value system on a man that was an adult when he came over, decades of a certain culture. It doesn't change overnight. Now, I'm not saying what he says or does is right, but he's not going to get better. He's not going to do anything if we don't talk about stuff. So when I had a problem, I would talk to anything. I would just talk to professor. But I know a lot of people, even simple little things. Tim, how come you get him to teach things at your seminars? I ask him. Well, I don't feel comfortable doing that. Well, then you're going to lose out.
Mm-hmm.
You lose. I win. Mm-hmm. And it's not on I win. It's my seminars win because the seminars I'm hosting, people like the material that he was teaching because I had enough backbone to go up and say, hey, can you do this? I remember one of the local guys, David Battaglia, was all, well, the same thing every seminar. I go, let's think about this, guys. This is before I hosted him. It was when Jerome was hosting him, and I would help with the co-host. He had sponsorship from the college club.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have about 50 people every time he showed up, but only 10 were the same people. So that means 40 people were brand new almost every time he saw him. So he can't teach to the 10 of us. He's got to teach to the mass.
Right.
So, but of course, someone thinks, me. So, well, why don't we ask him to take the black belts aside? Well, I don't feel comfortable with that. Professor, could you take the black belts to the side? Oh, let us do that. And he did. He did. Now, did we get put back in the Gen Pop? Yeah, of course we did. Yeah, I watch Oz. I know the lingo. Gen Pop. Oz is old school HBO show about prisons, guys. So, but I mean, the thing here is, all you had to do was talk to the man. All you had to do was talk. But the thing here, but ultimately, there's a different culture. And people put this expectation and they saw a problem, but they were never part of the solution. What do you mean by that, Professor? What do you do this? What do you do that? Like I said, and he knew there was a problem because something must have happened. And at the end of a seminar, he apologized for anything he may have said or done. And here's the problem. We as Americans had our American expectation on him. Now, and the thing is, Filipinos were a mystery to us because you knew it was Japanese and Chinese. That was it. And then maybe some Koreans. You understood a little that a lot of their cultural, there's a nuance between all of them, but there's a common theme between all of them compared to us. A lot of it's respect. And I think the fact of the matter here is that these guys, I mean, people just, for all intents and purposes, he was a foreigner still. He was forever a foreigner. It didn't matter that he was a naturalized citizen. No one tried to help him learn the ropes, and he was on the road all the time. So let's say he would have lived with us for a couple of years, damn straight, he would have done some things, and I would have been like, dude, you can't do that. Just like if I would have went with the Philippines with him, he'd be like, Tim, you can't do that.
Right.
I know what it's like. I know what my foot tastes like. I've been putting my foot in my mouth my whole life.
Well, it's interesting. It's when you're in your home area, you're gonna automatically be comfortable and interpret everything through those lens. When people travel, they tend to give the locals, right, the natural people that they're visiting, some leeway in terms of, hey, I'm not from here. I am the outsider, and I will adapt. You forget to do that when people come from out of the country, I think.
You are 100% right.
Can you write that down?
You are 100% right.
There you go. It's recorded anyway.
It's recorded.
There you go.
I talk about it all the time. How come we expect people to forgive us, but we can't do the same to them?
Right.
Now, I'll give you an idea. Here's I taught at a Middle Eastern center, and I was taught. I have a woman that sells homes, and someone who bought a lot of homes in the area from the Middle East, Pakistan or something along that region, was selling all the homes and going back because they thought Americans were rude. In many cases, they're right, but at the same token, when I was teaching at an American or a Middle Eastern center, this kid comes up to me and goes, "Why are you so fat?" And I can tell, your father or your parents came directly over, because their language is very direct, and it wasn't meant as a dig, but that's something we would never say over here. By our standards, that was freaking rude, But a lot of times they just don't understand, because there's something, wait a minute, lost in translation. Here's one for you.
Let's see. From Rodent. In America, people act like the girl from Willy Wonka. But Daddy, I want to Oompa Loompa now.
Sure.
Great original movie, but I'm a huge sucker for Gene Wilder. Anyway, got distracted. Sorry.
What do you think about the Johnny Depp version?
Yeah, it's okay. It's not
weird.
The other. Yeah, it's fine. I didn't hate it, but I'm sorry. I like the first one.
The dentist thing was, special effects were better, but it's like,
the problem is on that. I'm going to stay one more time on that. So the scene where they're going through the tunnel and Willy Wonka's being really creepy with his over voiceover, almost song.
Yeah,
that one scares people. That's my favorite part of the movie.
There you go. Well, it's sort of like Karate Kid. When you look at Ralph Macchio versus Jaden Smith, the right. Jaden, I like them. I think they were equally good. I thought the cinematography for the Jaden Smith was amazing, going to China, stuff like that. The only downside about the China one is that a bunch of Asians felt that movie was made to be racist, because they thought it was Asians hating blacks. That wasn't it. The story was a new kid in town that was getting beat on. But I saw several people of notoriety making comments about them, like, dude, it's not the story.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that.
Of course, it should have been the Kung Fu Kid, because it was Kung Fu, but
Right. I didn't see that one, but I will say the first one that everybody likes, I didn't really like so much, because I can't stand watching Macchio move. I'm sorry.
You like Cobra Kai?
I do like Cobra Kai. Again, I still can't stand
less about Ralph Macchio moving.
Exactly.
He's too skinny. He needs some meat on his. Even now, I'm jealous.
And the mechanics, me. I'm sorry.
I hear you.
I had the same problem with Xena. Anyway, we're getting way distracted. Sorry.
Okay, so listen. The brothers loved each other. They just didn't always like each other.
Sure.
I
think that's true.
And as far as these comments that Bates was saying on the internet, here's my opinion. Here's my thing. One, I don't trust him, because I don't. Two, this finger. It's not the other finger. Two, I don't trust anyone unless I was there, because I don't expect people to understand the context. And to be honest with you, I don't think that guy understood Remy. Yes, strike fast, strike first, no mercy.
Well, we all know, we've all been in many situations where everybody was there and everybody remembers the situation, the words, the context, slightly different. And sometimes differences matter a whole lot. Doesn't mean they're wrong or evil, but you want to see for yourself. Got it.
Como está acá?
All right, very good.
Do we know Maria?
I don't recognize the name, but maybe, I don't know.
I'm looking her up right now, but why don't you read this next one? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll read the Rocky again.
Seek her on. That's why I know her.
Okay, Rocky says, Tim, you're absolutely right about asking Remy stuff. I was never happy with just what he taught at seminars. I would try the stuff against other Eskrima methods, and when some stuff didn't work, I would bug the shit out of him to teach me how to work against them. Everyone wondered why he taught me his traditional stuff. It's simple. I was never satisfied He knew how good he was. He didn't need me kissing his ass and telling him how great he was. And instead, I hounded him to learn what made him the fighter he is. Yeah. Well, and right, sometimes you got to find out. Wait a second, just because maybe something worked for someone else. What is going on here? Can you help me? So you asked him those questions. That's awesome.
I actually just messaged him, Maria.
Oh, okay, great.
And I might we're gonna be over in 2024, by the way. I might be going twice that year.
Wow, great.
Only because I still want to go down and make sure everyone's okay. Rubber chicken salute, Kurt. I don't know how to do it. Rubber chicken salute.
I don't know how to do that either.
Listen, listen, yeah, and like I said, I knew how much I knew Remy before he passed away. I don't think I could compare then to how I feel I understand him now after being in the Philippines so often. I mean, I know the important stuff about Remy back then.
Sure. I think you knew, obviously I think you knew him better than me, but I got a good connection right off the bat for a totally different reason. We've talked about this. Me having lived in Malaysia for a while, there's a similarity to some of the culture. And I think immediately connected with Remy pretty well, even if my friend Raymond said the wrong story, but good connection. And I thought I could communicate him with well, and I think I understood him well enough. And so every time I go back, that's more nostalgic for two reasons. One, my connection to Remy, and two, just the similarity that I see. I could be wrong. Everybody could disagree, but similarities I felt from what I experienced in Malaysia and saw in Philippines and felt through Remy. So it's all connected for me.
Yeah, I mean, I look at things ultimately. I think the oh, and by the way, it should have been, if it was Barras, it was 2017, Maria. But
I was at that one.
No, you're 2016. I went 2 years back to back because I went to the World Secret Championships.
Okay.
So I listen, and I'm not saying I didn't know who Remy was. What I'm saying is that there's so much nuances now I get that I didn't get before. And I wasn't thinking about this stuff of he was still a foreigner in a foreign land the whole time. And everyone talks about the Remy. Like, he left his country as a refugee. How would any of us know what that's like unless you were a refugee?
Yep.
He didn't abandon his family. He fled for his life.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God they didn't kill his family. They could have easily just as much slaughtered the family after he left. Can you imagine that? I should have stayed with them. I could have been there. But he left everything behind, and whatever bag, and none of this freaking Presas Bolo bullshit. He grabbed his bag and he ran for the hills, landed in San Francisco where he had family. And his family took him in, and he went through a state of depression because I've talked to the family about this, until finally the cousin sat there and said, "You're a goddamn grandmaster. Get off your ass and do what you were meant to do." And that kick in the ass by family was made him who he was today. Well, there's a lot of things that made him today, but got off his ass, and he became this martial superpower.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and listen, it doesn't take. Ernesto was very much the same. All three.
Well, that's it, right. I think you got two alpha
class martial artists.
I think, but also I think you got two alpha brothers, right? So that is always going to have a little conflict.
I know Ernesto thought he could take him. Well, here we go. He was like, I could take him if I could stay out. And he's right. I bet you if he could stay on the outside, because he would do double baston, Remy would do the single stick, and if he could have kept him far away, if he could do that, yeah, I can see Ernesto beating him. I just don't see anyone stopping Remy that way.
Remy could close when he wanted to, I think.
Reno, man, you're all over the place, brother, man. Although it's only a few hours from there. Miguel Ruby, another brother from another mother. No, but I think we got to, and once again, if this was true, which it's not, I think we just, okay, Ty knows two of the brothers. I knew all three. Ernesto was so happy. I cannot tell you how ecstatic he was to meet me after I put the two of them together. And that's when I started training Comaton, which was like 99 or 98. Then I went out to Rick Menglenong's because he's hosting him next. Janice and I flew out there, and then we met with the Presas family. Went out to Hercules, hung out with them. You know. Oh, no, that was the second trip. First time I went by myself. Then Janice, the next time I went out there, Remy had passed away. So it was probably 2000 when I went out there. Late 99, early 2000. You know, I didn't hide it. And I actually had people, I would never disrespect with Remy by hanging with his brother. I don't know. For me, if I met a member of if I met Remy, well, no, my mindset was, well, if I met Remy, I want to meet the rest of the family. This is a person who was like a father to me, introduced me as his son to other Filipinos. So to me, I wanted to meet the whole family. I was the adopted one. Okay. I wanted to meet the rest of them, you know? And for the most part, I got along with them. Junior and I don't see eye to eye. Okay. But I'm good with the rest of them.
You should say which junior you're talking about.
Remy Jr. I don't get along with Ernesto. I don't get along with either of the junior. John, or
there you go. That's true. Maybe it doesn't matter. Okay.
It doesn't matter. So, but yeah. So Remy Jr. and Maria. I don't talk to Maria at the moment because I don't know. It's weird. Some weird shit. You know what? The Presas family needed therapy too. They lost their father. And back then we didn't do stuff like this. You know, we hid our problems. You know, this, okay, here's my little, my society, my issue with society. It's like all these shootings. Everyone wants to ban guns. How about we improve mental health? Because no one in their right mind would go shooting people like this. So stop going after the firearms. Start taking responsibility for ignoring mental health issues and stop placing it on the tools of destruction. Because it could just as easily be a pipe bomb, a truck, or whatever. Someone goes around with a pistol, no one says shit. If it's an AR-15, everyone cries foul. But at the end of the day, everyone's ignoring mental health issues. Martial arts was cheaper than therapy. I probably still should have paid money for therapy. You know.
You proud of me? I held back from jumping on the responsibility tip.
There we go. Oh, here we go. Okay, I'll give you this. I'll let you have this one. Here we go.
Here you go.
My family hit their problems. My middle name was Problem. Okay, I'll give you that. Was okay. This is out of my system now. So, but
there
listen, the Presas family loved each other. They didn't always like each other. They didn't always stand each other or understood each other. And there we go. And that's it. You know,
why should anybody care?
Yeah, no one should care.
Not your service, not your ponies.
And would you say, okay, so it's not a secret I don't get along with a lot of the modern Ernie's people out there right now. Okay. My frustration is that all these people I wanted to like. And we've had how many times have we had that conversation?
Gazillion, yes.
I wanted to get along with all of them. We're all Remy students. We should be getting along. And if they truly have a problem with me, let's talk and clear the air. Here's the thing. If there's a problem and you're not dealing, you're either part of the problem or the solution. So I remember, I mean, you saw an email exchange. When I heard there was a problem, I reached out to somebody and the person went off on me. And I'm like, whoa, I'm asking about and it's like, it took 3 or 4 emails for the person to finally address to talk about what I was calling them or reaching out to them about. It was about something completely different. I'm like, hey, I want to know about this. And really what I should have sat there and said, well, you're right. Your program is bullshit. So now that we got that over, let's talk about what we're really talking about here.
Well, to be honest, I'm going to chime in on that. So, having seen a few sides of exchanges and things, and I get it, none of my business. But just as an outsider, I think it taps into the first thing, which is you got to talk about it. And I would say you got to talk about it early, because if you don't talk about it early, it festers, it rots, it becomes a scar, and it's hard to move on. Even if you see the person later, you just have a knee-jerk reaction, no matter what they say. So if you don't take care of it early, stand up, put your big boy pants on, big girl pants on, and hash it out like humans, you're going to be in trouble. And I don't know how it gets better without that.
So Chris, my man Chris, we haven't seen him in a while. Actually, I saw him Saturday because he was at the event. How was your thumb, my man? He got his thumb cranked at the event. It was already jacked up to begin with. And, hey, do you mind if I twist your thumb? Yes, I do, but it was too late.
He's got another thumb.
Listen. Did the brothers ever band together?
Not that I know of, but I'm laughing because people do that, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, no. Ouch. Yeah, okay, all right. Mark Lynn was going back and forth in Texas between Remy and Ernesto, no problem.
Yep.
Here's the one thing I'll say. So, okay, I'm going to just have fun with this because you know how I feel about the Grandmaster promotional stuff. I was the only one promoted to Grandmaster by Ernesto Presas that was one of Remy's students. I'm just saying, seeing everyone's talking about the other stuff, but whatever it is. Let me see. Here we go. Ed Parker, Funakoshi, General Chow, and GM Remy. Once they left, the problem did not want to happen. All happened at once. They left versus Jiu-Jitsu, where everyone's still what GM Gracie does. Did I read that wrong?
I think the point is they left, and then what they did not want to happen happened because they weren't around. And then if you manage to stick around, you can guide it to a reasonable transition. I think that's what he's saying.
Versus jiu-jitsu, well, they're always fighting each other, so you get the proof. The proof's in the pudding. No, I mean, like when you roll, you can't argue that.
Right.
The problem is people don't stick fight anymore. I've offered many a times the opportunity for a little rattan therapy, and I'm one of the few students that Remy had that actually fought in tournaments. Most of the other people didn't do any kind of fighting tournament. Well, I mean, hell, Jeff Leader, Ron Merson, and a few others of us used to do live stick fighting, no gear. We wouldn't do headshots. We'd smash fingers. We'd get welt marks on our ribs, and we realized, and this is before we knew what we never even heard about the Dog Brothers at the time. It was pre-Dog Brothers. And then all of a sudden, boom. You know what? We're hitting a little too hard.
Right.
I'm starting to get old. Too much time healing.
Right.
So, and then we made padded sticks and like, hey, we can keep going, That's what I like about Datu. I reached out to him and he was very receptive, even though I learned modernities from a different source. Yeah, but Mr. Blue's an awesome guy. Didn't get it. Yeah, I mean, listen, this, and yes, they all fight. There we go. See, that's it. The problem, like, yeah, they roll so they know who's whom in the zoo. It's as simple as that. I mean, if we were all kickboxers, we wouldn't have this issue because we just get in the ring and settle it. It's like, all right, yeah, you're the best fighter. Now, who's the best coach? Okay.
Right.
So I think we got to, I'm going to go back to the very beginning of the show. Well, no, the beginning of the rant of the show. Because I'm done. I'm going to call bullshit on the brothers hating each other. I'm just going to sit there and say they didn't always like each other. I'm going to say that Remy could have said those exact words, but for all we know, he was having a flashback. Who knows what the brain does when it's in that condition? There's too many factors going on. And, we cannot, I mean, and if people aren't smart enough to understand that, then that's on them.
Well, and people do this all the time. They say they hate so-and-so person when they really mean they hate what they did. We take shorthand all the time, and lack of precise language kills us every time.
Words matter. So in this episode of FMA Talk, we will be exploring these rumors and putting them to rest. I think we just did. we will hear from an expert in the field, Dr. Jim and Tye Botting as a secondary, who knew all three brothers, and to gain a deeper understanding of their relationship and the impact they had on the martial art world. Ultimately, we hope to honor the memory of the Presas brothers as important and the important contributions they made to Filipino martial art community. Their legacy continues to inspire martial artists around the world, and their collective approach to training and teaching remains a model for future generations. That right there is the most important part of tonight's show.
Yeah, focus on the pieces that matter and that are good. Nothing else. The other parts, yeah. Anyway,
brain is a crazy thing. It makes people collect glass bottles
and other weird things.
He's talking about behind me.
Yes, there you go. Nice
bastard. I'm not inviting you to Crazy Hair Week. Oh, wait a minute. That's right. You have no hair. No family likes each other all the time. Exactly.
But family knows all of the ways to get under your skin the most worst way.
Yes, they do. I was really good at that too. Hair on your butt doesn't count. I'm not going to go how I know this, but I've been given reports.
Are you calling him a butthead?
Many reports on the topic.
Are you calling him a butthead?
There you go. Punya ulo.
There you go.
But I won't.
Nice.
Well, you can, but no one's going to know.
Hopefully.
Oh, here we go, Kurt. Here we go. How's this one?
How can FMA elevate to such a way that scores disagreements can be settled like professional combat sports?
Okay.
Well, two, he already mentioned it. One, he already mentioned it. But two, I mean, it's treat it like a profession. Professionals act a certain way around each other. Yes.
What do you mean was good at it? LOL.
Was good at it. I think he was emphasizing.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, I'm pretty good at twisting the thing. Here's what I'm going to say about this. I'm gonna go back to, we started talking, we got sidetracked a little. Go figure.
a lot.
So people don't like me for something that I did, that no one knows what I did, and no one can tell anyone what it did. And Ty's heard this time and time again, and they would say, "Oh, listen, I don't want to get it into it with you, but I have a problem with Hartman." No, you do. Because you wouldn't have mentioned it to him, because you would do what we did. And when we would bump into people who studied with someone else, oh yeah, that was one of my classmates with Remy.
Yep.
And we've said it time and time again, because the issue I have with a person has nothing to do with the students. Time and time again, I have been nothing but professional. But here's the thing. If I did something, I own the moment. If you stewed on it for minutes, hours, days, years, decades, that's the shit's all on you. If you don't want to, I can sit there and say, I'm going to wait till I see the person face to face. It's going to be a week, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But if I allegedly did something and we don't even know, and people have a right, people have a right to feel the way they feel. But I mean, their feelings are no, they don't have a right to feel the way they do. Their feelings are what they are. They may not have a right to feel that way, but you can't sit there and say, well, I felt slighted. You and I talked about it the other day. Someone's upset about something I said about the event coming up this weekend that I have to clear the air on, because I was saying something and it was misconstrued. And first thing I'm going to do is say, hey, I apologize if you felt that I was saying this, because I wasn't. And here's what I said, and this is what why, and this is all the stuff that goes with it, But listen, I'm sorry you took what I said wrong, and it was part of it was because it was one of these shows, and if you listen to us on the show, it's all over the place. But the thing here is this. Something came back to me indirectly. So all this time the person's stewing, that's all them. That is all them. I own the moment that I said something. And if they didn't ask to clarify, what are you trying to say here? Are you saying that I suck or something like that? That's on you. But if you deal with it right away and I'm a douche to you, well, then the rest of the time you're upset at me, that's on me. 100%. I've known you for a long time, and you've always owned from your side. Yep.
I actually played that out with someone and they didn't.
And I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know a thing. What do you mean? How does that? Well, I didn't know that. Versus, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, whatever. Never mind. I won't go down the. We'll not go down that well.
Rodney's got another point. Is this a joke or is this a real?
It's for you.
Oh, okay. Rodent. Let's see. My cousin said in high school, hate them because they had the same last name as me, and said, you better not be a smartass like your cousin. I told them, no, I am dumbars.
Okay. All right. So, we should vet those.
Yeah, maybe we should.
Come on, Roden. You got to do better than that.
He wants to be part of the conversation.
It's spell check, baby.
No, but he's had some good stuff too.
No, he's I like Roden. I really do. And now that I know who it is, it's even better.
Right, it is. Yeah.
True story. Well, I'll wait to see what his next name is going to be. But I think Roden danger. Yeah. Well, yeah. So, Sean Kelly, brother, how you doing? Okay. In the years I've known Tim Hartman, or Datu Tim Hartman, he's always been the man of integrity, honor, and a straight shooter. So, my brother, thank you.
There's a testify.
As a testicle? No, testimonial.
Testimonial, yes.
Okay. Is that better?
Yes. Now it's even hurting my OCD.
Oh, I don't even know if
that's a little better than it was.
Yeah. Ty will fix it when he's in Buffalo. The problem here is there's just a problem. He's got bottle envy. When we were on Dean's show, he thought it was a still back there.
Yeah, okay. Or it could be all your perfume bottles.
Just stop it. Listen, so family fights, that's what they do, but they're still family.
Yep.
It doesn't do anyone any good talking about stuff that's none of their damn business.
Right. Well, the most important part of it is the part that people. So let's see. This brother didn't like that brother. The most important part is they're brothers, and they did for FMA all of the things that nobody can deny. That's awesome.
Do we remember the photo I put up there? The three of the brothers together.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull this up.
You have it. You have it. Cool.
Well, it's today's artwork, but we'll talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
And you know exactly where we got this from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You tell me. Okay, hold on. Let me do this. Let's get the brand gone here. Okay, you tell me where this photo comes from.
Under glass in Roberto's living room, if I remember right.
Perfect. Under glass in Roberto Presas' living room.
Mm-hmm. And we all saw it. We're like, that's amazing. Bottle. Is that who we think it is? And it was. It was amazing.
Remy, Ernesto. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm using the wrong mouse. I've got too many screens. Remy, Ernesto, Roberto.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He was proud of that.
And you know what? And now
that's history right there.
There we go. So here's
and
what
Rich remembers saying it too.
Here's what I'm going to say. Got to put the Modern East logo back in there. Yeah. I go, for the people. Actually, we got rid of that because it says, okay, there we go. That's what I do. It doesn't do us any good talking about shit that you don't know about. Remy may have said something, but who knows what the brain was going on, his mental condition, his physical condition, because he had pneumonia and all the medication and all the stuff that was going on. It serves no one. And the person in question, I mean, and there's, like I said, there's people out there that I want nothing to do with. And I think the world would be better off without them. But you know what? I would feel bad for their families that that person's gone. I don't wish anyone to die. I don't. Okay. Now, well, I would believe in capital punishment, not necessarily to kill people, but to prevent people from doing things. Because if it's just, hey, like right now I'm 57, I'll be 58 in May. By the way, the camp is my birthday, so you got a couple shopping days. A life sentence is not a real deterrent for someone like me. Like 3 squares a day and my laundry's being done. And because of who I am, they probably put me in solitaire. I would get a lot of rest and relaxation, And if I get off on, good behavior, I'm out in a couple years. The 7th, May 7th, it's a Sunday, last day of camp. So listen. And because when I say that, there's people out there that for society's sake, if someone needed to pull the trigger, I would have no problem with that. But the thing is, the people that I know and I don't like personally, I would not want to see them die because somebody in their life is going to miss them. They cared about it. Someone loved them. Now, would some of these knuckleheads that give me shit, would it be less of a headache for me? Sure. But I don't think someone's life is the cost of that piece. I go down the list. I don't want to see any of them die. I'd actually just like them to shut up. But at the end of the day, talking about this serves no one. We have to remember the legacy of the brothers. And talking about putting the will in its entirety in a book and brings up questions if you really read the will. Not in the martial art portion, that's okay. But when you read the personal section, it was no one's business where the money went to and who was getting what and all this other stuff. No one's freaking business. And now you talk about this. It's no one's, even if, which it wasn't true, that Remy said these things and meant it, which, like I said, it wouldn't surprise me that it came out of his mouth, depending on his mental condition at that moment. We know about loved ones who had mental issues and would say one moment they hate their family, and next minute they love them because they're losing it. And I don't know the mental condition that would cause that. We know it's out there. I don't know the proper terms. I'm sorry if it's not in my wheelhouse. But we know that the brain is a funny, delicate thing, and little things can set it off. And even when I'm in a rational movement, I say things that sometimes in the fit of rage, I can't take back. And I feel bad about it. And what are we supposed to do? There you go. Be the solution, not the problem. That's it. We talk about it all the time. That's the whole thing. You're either part of the problem or part of the solution, and talking goes a long way, or just staying away from other people. That works too.
You let it go instead of letting people live in your head.
I started, I remember during COVID, I told people, you know what? I'm getting rid of all the toxicity in my life. You're done. You're boom, done. All right, I'll let you read that one since you chuckled.
There you go. I have early walking in a room, forgetting why I'm in there. We get hit in the head a lot in our careers. This is true.
Yes, we do. Oh, I constantly forget what I'm doing at the moment.
I've done it at least twice to myself.
Yeah.
Oh, you had to clean up one of them.
Hold on one more. Oh, you had to clean up?
You had to clean up one of the times I hit myself in the head.
Oh, that's because there's blood everywhere.
That's right.
Your stick didn't just hit yourself. Ryan smacked your stick, and then there was a recoil. And
Yep, yep. And my wrist was weakened. Yep, no fun. But still, technically, I was holding on to it. All right. Any other? Let's see. Any other comments, questions? I know we rambled all over the place, but hopefully it was entertaining, if not interesting. That's true, Rich. It was while you were teaching. I was wanting to keep going. I was having fun. And then, somebody said they didn't like the pulsing blood. I don't know. Weirdos.
Okay, so I feel good about today's show. Jason remembers that. And
nobody wants to talk about that.
It's like Fight Club. We don't talk about it.
That's right.
I will be reselling some of that stuff too. So that's an investment as well. Great show again. This weekly thing. Thank you. And no problem.
Good.
So next week's show, we're going to talk about traveling as a martial artist. During the show during multiple of these shows, I've had people reach out to me like, how do you travel? What do you do? So we're going to do a show next week. By all means, Q&A. So if you got some questions, do we take weapons with us? How do we get them through customs or on a plane? And you know what? It's real simple. It's really, real simple. Now, I will say one thing. Bringing stuff back home, I've heard horror stories from American Filipinos. And, I've had my stuff this. I go, dude, you're Pinoy. I'm sorry. You're not. This is where I hate to say it, this is being my German ancestry works well. But I also wear a cross, so it looks like I'm reverend and all this other stuff. And I've got proper paperwork, and I speak the language. English is my first language. I don't have an accent. And obviously, you can tell. Listen, people do racial profiling. There's no question about that at the border. No questions asked. But there's a reason. There's a reason.
Well, you do have a little accent.
I've got a Yankee accent, right? Or is it better not be Canadian?
No.
I was offended. I have the rights. Nobody cares. Shut up. Dude, I love the video clip.
So my wife has a response to, hey, I was offended, or any other weird things. She goes, what do you want?
I put that up. Oh, here, we're going to play it right now because I have it on my page.
There you go.
Is that the one with the woman with the girl dressed like a clown with a dark background? Let me see here. There was a couple different ones.
Oh, no, I was laughing at rodents.
You go ahead.
I've heard horror stories of people trying to bring in a butterfly knife in the prison wallets. Ouch.
Someone told me a story about how somebody rolled in with 12 scalpels in their prison wallet.
Oh my God. Wow.
The prison wallet's a butthole, by the way, guys.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is this? Someone's been
cool.
That's a pretty good graphic. Oh, here's I wonder if this is the video you were talking about, because I've seen there was another one before I tried downloading, but it didn't download the whole thing. But let's see if this is the one you're talking about.
No, I was just talking about my wife one. Oh,
is that the one?
I wasn't talking about video.
Oh, okay. Well, this is the one about being offended.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh. Let me see if I can do this here. Hold on. Let's see if we can do it with volume. Can I share with volume?
I don't know.
Can you hear that? Always asking when did sticks and stones break my bones, not relevant. Let me see if I can hold on. Let me see if I can make this happen. I can't. I'll have to download it one of these days and upload it. They thought about how, hold on. What happens if you say that and someone gets offended? So what? Are we so weak that words hurt us?
There's that. Yeah. What's it?
I mean, they do. I don't want to say that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
that
here's
Viking shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The Viking shirt. Yeah. But I mean, okay, here's the thing. Yeah, you should be respectful. You should say nice things. You should be whatever. But you know what? It's kind of like what you're talking about. You know, you own the bad part you did, but then if they make it bad on their end and they keep letting it bad, that's on them. So if I say something I shouldn't have said, yes, I should not say that. On the other hand, you're the one that makes yourself get offended. No one else makes you get offended. You do it to yourself. You own responsibility for your feelings. I can't control how you feel. If you, what am I magic and I have power over you?
The only person that gives the word powers is you.
Yep. And we've all done that, right? We've done that. You know, we decided to not get upset about something. We decided to get upset about something. It happens all the time.
Yeah, yeah. So next week's show is going to be on. Next week's show is going to be on traveling as a martial artist, specifically as a Filipino martial artist, with all the gear that we do. Actually, we can talk about martial arts as well. Close to pearls, graphs, okay. Because we want to also talk about, like, if you're bringing a bow somewhere, some kind of a staff, there's ways where if you pack it as fishing gear, there's less of a fee. But if you tell them it's a staff, in the past, I know people who've been charged more money because it was a staff. Fishing gear, no problem. Okay, no big deal. So we'll talk a little about that, and
I can tell people how I got sticks on the plane.
Well, that's why I want to do that too, because that was a good one. I haven't seen any other pictures of that lately, so I don't know.
No, I only did that once, but you should make sure you have that picture handy when it comes up.
Well, that's in your feed, so send it to me. Or
I don't know where stuff is. Yeah.
Well, well, okay, we'll figure something out. We'll try to figure something out. Yeah, but so next week's show is how to travel as a martial artist, the pitfalls that we run into, the issues, or how to make it easier than it has to be.
Yeah, well, I'll even throw in some, if you're traveling for non-martial arts, what you can do as well, just because I try to do some of that. So if I travel for work, I try to figure out what I can do on the martial side, or who I can meet, or what opportunities I can take advantage of. It's worked out really well so far.
Yeah. Let me. I'm setting something to the boss, and should we share that last one?
Which one? It's not bad. Oh wait, which one? That one's not bad.
Sticks on a plane. There we go. Okay, there we go. There.
Mother, father, sticks on a plane.
Mother, father, sticks on a plane. Yeah. So that's it. Listen, based on our information, all good with the Presas family. I know. Like I said, it is what it is. Don't listen to people like this stuff. And the thing is, there's no question that they argued. That's what family does. Family fights. No one says you always have to like your family, but ultimately you do love them. Mm-hmm. So it's got just those moments in between, especially when they're good at poking you. All right. Well, listen, as always, this is a pleasure to host with my good friend here and compadre. We're looking forward to seeing everyone soon in the future. This weekend, we're at the Martial Arts Symposium in New Hampshire. Looking forward to see everyone there. And as always, please stay safe, stay sane. This is Datu Tim.
And PG Tye. Take care, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
See you all soon.